episode is brought to you by Support the Mountains Herbal Parasite Cleanse. This formula targets the small and large intestinal tracts and larvae, the most broad-spectrum formula available today. 100% organic, formulated by Dr. Mikio Sankey, author of the Esoteric Acupuncture series. For 10% off your first bottle, visit shopyogahub.com and use the coupon code CLEANSE at checkout. Hello and welcome to YHTV's Flowing into Awareness with visionary and master intuitive Anatara. I'm Christina Suzuma, your host for this program. Today our subject is Dive Right In, No Holding Back. And with us is the beautiful Anatara. Hello.
Oh, hello.
I know, we're so excited to see each other.
It's just great. It's just great. And every time you introduce me, I think, oh, here I am, and here we go. As you were, telling us what this episode was about, and you said dive right in, no holding back, I thought, well, that could mean many things. And I will explain what this particular version of it is about. Ask yourself, how often do you attempt to manage how you give of yourself to your life and to the people in it? The magic of giving and receiving is constantly and organically rebalancing itself.
Don't we know that, Anatara?
Don't we know it? And the beauty of that is that it is magical. The balance is magical, and it isn't about us trying to attempt to manage it. So it is possible to intuitively observe what is and flow in dynamic balance. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. We are here to live beyond expectations and beyond keeping score. So the beyond keeping score part of that and the beyond expectations is what we take on in terms of the rules about how we can give and how we can receive. But I want to talk about dynamic balance for a minute. There is nothing, and I've spoken about this before, there is nothing in our existence that is static. There is no static. If we lived in a static world, we would walk around and feel as if we were in straitjackets. We would be uncomfortable physically. We would be uncomfortable spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. We would be, closed in so tightly that there was no way to have any sort of dynamic flow. So dynamic doesn't have to mean that it is extreme in one way or another. Dynamic simply means that there is life to it. So living this life, these lives, being in this existence with dynamic flow, which is really about dynamic balance. Balance in your life, what is that? What does that mean? When we look at a river and we watch that the rain comes down one day or 1 week and it falls into all the rivulets and streams and creeks and it flows into the bigger river and the river gets bigger and I watch it flow into the estuaries and right into the ocean around here where I live. And there's a dynamic flow that ebbs and flows, ebbs and changes as the tides rise and fall and as the rain stops and starts. There are so many little bits of things, how much sunlight we have, what the wind is like, how much water is falling out of the sky, that describe the dynamic balance of the systems that we live in, of this beautiful natural state of support that exists on Earth. So, how about if that also exists within us? What would it be like if we could dive right into knowing that we are allowed to and we are able to intuitively sense and feel and know how to proceed, how to give to our lives, how to receive from our lives? Wouldn't it be amazing if we didn't question any of that? If we didn't impose any rules or regulations or thoughts or limitations on, I'm such and such an age and I must behave in this way or I won't be accepted. If I'm not accepted, then I can't receive what other people have to give me. Judgment comes into it, of course. What would it be like if we could simply understand that at some moments we'll be giving a lot, some moments we'll be receiving more, and at some moments we will be in the harmony and the dynamic balance of both of those things happening at once. So when I talk about no holding back and diving right in, it's not the idea of diving headlong into a situation where you think where you're trying to analyze what the receiving and what the giving is about. It's more an idea of holding your hesitation in check, noticing what you're hesitating about, and then taking steps to dive right in to what you see as presenting to yourself. In a lot of the teaching that I've been doing recently, we have been looking at what we can do to make ourselves feel safe. When we impose definitions and limitations on how we can present ourselves or give ourselves to the world, when we impose on ourselves definitions of what we may or may not receive from the world, that dynamic balance is stultified. It's stopped. It's the word that just came to me was it's almost corroded. There's an imposition of a sort of poison to balance happening through the thoughts and through the ideas and through the fear that we have that if we dive right in, we may not make it. If we dive right in, the balance that we think that we are maintaining between giving and receiving will be dangerous or will be unnatural. The truth is that so many of the ways that we live, so many of the precepts that we govern our existence by are designed to control and to maintain a certain set of situations and circumstances and ideas that have nothing to do with what it's really like if we are just present and we flow, if we are just present and we dive right in, if we are present and we don't hold ourselves back from the most beautiful things that are being shown to us, the most beautiful things that are being given to us. Remember as well that giving and receiving is a constant. It's a circle of energy that, when allowed to be itself, is maintained by itself. As you give, you receive. As you receive, you give. That cycle of existence, that cycle of flow, that cycle of seeing, hearing, and knowing becomes an intimate point of reference for everything that you are, for everything that you stand for. And here I'm not talking about standing for something as being rigid. I'm talking about standing for something, diving right in, not holding back, as being the clearest and most true representation of who you are, of what your living truth is all about. What do you think, Christina?
I love it. I think this is a very powerful subject, Anatara, that can go far beyond the time that we are giving it right now. Because that is always such a question, isn't it? The way that we are raised, depending on which society, of course, but at least we can speak of here in North America. Mm-hmm. The way we're raised, the expectations that when you do something for someone or just give forward, that there is an expectation that you will receive from that same individual or from that same entity. And where is it that this began to happen in this human race where, yes, there was the days of bartering, where it's on the physical side. But when it comes to just supporting and helping each other, I hear very often people in that turmoil of, oh, but I'm not going to do that anymore for that individual, and I'm not going to be here for them because they're never there for me, which is a very interesting dynamic that begins to happen, because It's the ebb and flow. And as you say, it is a representative of who we are. If we begin to expect, then the giving is really not from within.
Yeah, when we start to expect things, then we are keeping score.
Yes.
And when as you've just brought up, and as I was speaking about before, when we are giving and receiving, it is that circular pattern. It's that circular flow, and there need not be any expectations involved in any of that, because we know that we are giving because we receive, and that makes us more able to give. It literally, we are nourishing what I call is our living truth. We are nourishing the essence of ourselves, always, by receiving and by giving. And when we break it down and we try to keep score and we have an expectation, as you described, whoa, there's no flow there at all. There is no way to even perceive that there is this subtle dynamic balance.
Yes.
And a lot of that dynamic balance is not determined by us. Not specifically by us. It comes through who we are in this lifetime. It comes through the universe. It comes through whatever, what we may call the goddess's creation is for us in this moment. It is such a subtly, I'm going to say tactile point of reference energetically. Yes. And to me, it describes perfectly the beauty of being alive, that dynamic flow, that dynamic balance.
Lovely. I also love what you said about, about being conscious and aware, like what's stopping us from giving at that moment? What is, or why are we giving at that moment? And I mean, this kind of awareness is really wonderful to look at. And the knowledge of, and I think people who've been doing it for a while and have become conscious of it, though we might have done something with this individual or this entity over on this side, that entity may not reciprocate in the way that we're expecting. But the reciprocation might be coming from elsewhere.
Exactly.
It's almost like the universe's gift of, as you gift, the universe will gift.
Always. There is, as we try to stop that up and try to define that, and that's when we lose that. That's when we lose how that can really happen for us. So let's, keep it moving.
I'm ready. Let's keep diving. Come on. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Anatara. This is a lovely moment, as usual, and something for us all to keep conscious of and keep aware of. And it never stops, because we're so ingrained with the way we are each raised, and that continuous reminder of, is this the path? Is this the path we're choosing? Am I diving?
And diving in doesn't have to be scary, and it doesn't have to look or feel like deep water. It can just be diving into that which presents, diving into that which is going to receive you in some way. It will receive your gift.
Lovely. Well said. Thank you so much, Anatara, for gifting us this moment. And of course, we would like to thank each and every one of you for joining us in this new platform of education and information. We are grateful for your continuous support, and we look forward to hearing your feedback on how we can serve you better. You can also connect with Anatara by following her on Twitter @Anatara, and of course, through her own website, anatara.ca. Anatara.ca. So until next time, namaste.
The way we are expressed as individuals within the collective is not important or real. What I'm suggesting is that for us to be fully actualized, fully happy, fully energized human beings, it's the collective connection, the belief that by seeing things through the collective, the individual representation becomes strong and clear. I'm going to use that